pushing it away, which is actually a trend we were seeing a lot and is a pretty big trend here in the Korean leagues, as Terrans are just dominating with that drop play.
Exactly. And when you take a look at the workers created tab real quick for that game, Optical only made 67. Hyper made 74. Keep in mind the game was over. He had 30. So he lost 30, or let me look at 44 workers. I can't do math. It's, in that game. And that's, in terms of minerals, that's a lot. That's a lot to lose. And particularly when your opponent doesn't even make as many workers as you do and has a clear income advantage over you, you're in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think he invested too much in that attempted Baneling bust. I think he should have just gone for that early third and try and out macroed him. And that was a nice play by Optical to get up those barracks in time to push that off.
Yeah, exactly. And let's set up this third game. Where are we going? We're going to Metalopolis for this third game.
Yep, Hyper chose Metalopolis.
So we've seen some great games on Metalopolis, and hopefully it'll be another one here. Hyper is now in a position where he has to win to stay alive, or RH will take home the $5 Challenger prize for this week. So let's see where Hyper seems to be ready to go. Optical seems a little bit concerned that it's Metalopolis, but he is up 2 games, so no big deal for him. And keep in mind, if he does lose this, he's going to be able to pick the next 2 maps, even if Hyper does win the next 2 games. So he's going to have an advantage there in terms of what map he wants to win this game on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this could be the turnaround for Hyper, although Optical only needs one more win to seal the series, and he's been playing so well. And as you said, Hyper did say Cerberus Terran was his worst matchup, and I think he's just having trouble dealing with these multi-pronged drops that our Optical's just doing so effectively.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see though if Hyper switches up his game plan a little bit here. I mean, Infestors and Zerglings works to a large degree in most games, but it hasn't been working against RH. RH done a great job making sure that those Banelings in that last game were made pretty much ineffective, with those siege tanks being dropped on the platforms there, and doing a good job making sure that they were sort of confused as to where to go with the drops, as you mentioned. So I'd be really interested to see if Hyper decides to go with something a little bit more original here. Maybe pull back with that Nidus network we saw in the second game of last series when he took the chair last week. But he's got to do something different, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Infestor Ling is a really great combo, especially with Infestor Ling Baneling, but Optical's been doing a great job just outmaneuvering him and outpositioning him, basically. And you know what I'd actually like to see, especially on these close air spawns, is maybe some in Ling Muta,
Yeah.
because Mutas would do a great job cleaning up those drops and also cleaning up those siege tanks.
And it wouldn't be too much of a deviation from Hyper's original plan. He would be getting that second expansion fairly early. Well, actually not early, pretty average for a Zerg player, but also be able to use those Zerglings early and then switch right into Mutas instead of switching into Infestors or Banelings. So it wouldn't be too much of a deviation from his build, or the build that we've seen so far. He would just have something to deal with those drops. We'll see what he does. He can put Spore Crawlers up here on the northwest part of his base. Worth mentioning again, in case you guys are blind, RH is in the 1 o'clock position, and Hyper is in the 3 o'clock position. Yeah, in case you can't see the game but are just listening to us cast, I don't know if there's too many people like that on YouTube. It'd be kind of difficult to search on the internet if you're blind.
Tuesday, not confident in the sight of our viewers.
I mean, hey,
Our
you never know.
viewers, by the
Maybe
way.
you've turned around and started making a sandwich or something. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. Hyper going ahead and getting that natural early, or average, I guess. But in
No,
front
that's
of
actually a pretty early hatch. That was a 15 hatch followed by a 14 pool, so a pretty macro-oriented build here from Hyper
question for you: how can you make a 15 hatch and then a 14 pool follows that?
because a drone is used to make the hatchery.
Huh.
He's playing Zerg.
Oh yeah.
Poor little Protoss doesn't understand these complicated things.
Yeah, I know. It's,
But
these things happen. But we're gonna see RH is gonna get a scout in here. He's gonna see this hatchery, so he should have a command center coming up pretty soon from him to match it, or he'll push. He's got the decisions in his court. The ball is in his court here. Let's see what he sees. That doesn't see the main. So see what he does. He's bringing a marine
Yeah,
in
it looks
early.
like
It looks like.
Optical actually is putting in an aggressive bunker here. Is going for a marine bunker pressure on this hatch.
Yeah, and you see his
And,
his barracks are rallied directly to that hatchery, and so Hyper's in a position where he's got to get some Zerglings up. He doesn't have any coming on his production tab. Maybe he's bringing all
yeah.
of his drones in to deal with this. And God, if he loses a lot of drones here, he's going to be in trouble again. Does he see this marine though? with his drones. It
Yeah,
doesn't
I
look
mean,
like
well,
it.
as long as he can keep the Marine out of the bunker and kill this SCV, he'll be okay. But it looks like he's focus firing the bunker, which I'm not sure about.
And he's
This
pulling a
SCV is just gonna be
couple.
able to repair it, and he is building 2 queens, but he really needed to scout this a little earlier because he's gonna take so much economic damage just from doing this.
And the
And
Marine is
the
in
Marine
now.
does get inside, and he's just gonna take a little more damage there, and he does clean it up, but at what cost? He's now
Take
at
a look at the income tab. He's only down
15
2.
drones, 17, but he lost so much mining time that
Yeah.
that number doesn't really describe the extent to which he's down at this
And
point.
you see
And
RH going ahead and getting mules to sort of make sure that that advantage is even greater. He's switching the factory in for the reactor, so maybe going with Hellions again. We will see. I don't. Yep, going for double Hellion right away. He's going to put a ton of pressure on here for Hyper because he knows that he's got an army advantage here because Hyper's used all of his minerals to get this natural. And so Hyper's going to be on the defensive here for a while. He's got his
yeah,
Zergling out. I don't really know what he's doing with it. He's sort of just using it as a scout, it looks like. But that is essential. Take a look at the army tab. He doesn't really have too much in terms of army value. Neither
yeah, I mean,
does
that's actually a
Obstacle.
really nice scouting Zergling from there from Hyper to see those Hellions, to see that reactor factory. He doesn't see this command center going down from Optical, so he doesn't know he's expanding, so he's probably expecting some kind of pressure, but thankfully he does have that roach warren up, and he's building some roaches, so
And you see this Overlord is now placed behind OpticalRH's main. I would love to see a Nidus canal from him, but I don't. I think that's wishful thinking at this point. I think he's probably just going to sack it in a couple of minutes here, and he's
yeah, it wouldn't surprise me as we see Optical moving out with these Hellions.
And
But
Hyper's actually done a good job, though. He's moved his, it looks like he had a couple of drones here at the natural. He's moved them back into his main, being very cautious with them, bringing these roaches up to defend here, and it's looked like he's going to get at least...
Oh, and wow, the queen is not enough, and these Hellions slip by, and they're going to get a ton of kills here.
And
Wow, and the drones are just running in there to get sacked like poor little sacrificial lambs. And those Hellions now have a ton of kills. Look at the work
yeah.
skill tab. It is now 12-1. And on the income tab, we see 19/6. So
And
Hyper's
as you
gonna have to
mentioned,
pull some
it's
shit out of his ass at this.
740 minerals to 160. Hyper, oh boy, he is in trouble. It looks like he's going to try and push with these roaches, and I don't really know if he's going to be able to do anything with them. This wall here from RH is very good. He's got a bunker coming up. He's got a couple of Marines back here. If he gets them in the bunker, those roaches are going to be made pretty useless. He might be able to break through this wall, but otherwise he's going to be in deep trouble. And once again, he hasn't really deviated from his game plan from the last 2 games. We mentioned that mutas might be a good option for him, but he went right into roaches again. So RH really not taken off guard by anything that's going on here. You see Hyper using the Overlord for some vision on this barracks rather, and these Marines just up here sort of just firing down at roaches, killing them at will. He's killed 2. Looks like about gonna get a 3rd maybe here. 4. And
Nice snipe on the SCV repairing the barracks, and he's actually going to do a fair amount of damage here, so they can't attack him from this bunker.
yeah, but in
Oh,
terms
he
of the
sniped
production
another
tab, he's
one.
not bringing anything else in right now. He's not going to get this barracks either because a couple more SCVs are on it. He has siege.
Oh, and here comes the siege
yeah.
tank, and that's going to be it.
Yep, and he's got RH has siege attack coming up as well. So as soon as that's up, Hyper's going to be in deep trouble. And he's not retreating, which is
Wow,
just,
and he actually might be able to... Oh, that's a good save there by Optical, almost losing that siege tank. That would have been devastating. But Hyper using this to get his macro up and running, even though he's still only at 14 drones. So
yeah, but you take a look at the production tab. Just now that he's lost during that whole attack, he didn't really make anything. And that's something that you know RH so far in these games has done very well is 2-prong attacks while making stuff. Hyper really just now that he's retreated is now bringing in drones. He wasn't even making drones during that attack. And when you're so far behind, you really have to make sure that if you're going to attack and put pressure, you do something behind it as well.
yeah, absolutely. He really needed to get his macro up behind that attack, and he didn't really. And he's still got too many drones on gas, so he's got a pretty big gas surplus.
It's also
And on
supply
top of
capped
that,
at this
both of his
point.
queens are at the natural, which means he's not going to be able to get the larvae he needs. And he's just spent all of his energy on these creep tumors, and now Optical with a pretty sizable little M&M ball here and a siege tank might be looking to put on some early pressure, although looks like Optical's just going to fly down this natural here and just set up an even stronger macro advantage.
Yeah, and once again, the ball is in his court for the 3rd game in a row where he's in a position now because of his drops, because of the amount of drones he's killed, where he can sort of take his time, and he's not really going to be rushed anything and get a nuke.
Looks like he's just going to go right for the ghost with nukes, which I think is a great idea. I love that play.
Although he did do it the first game, he didn't really do anything with it. Hyper has used this time to get some creep tumors up. But he's only got really three roaches now on the way, four roaches, four zerglings. But he's got to get them up quickly because this Marine Marauder ball with the siege tank are coming. He had a zergling here at the Zel Naga, so he's noticed on the way, and he's got to really rush to get some stuff out quickly here.
Yeah, I mean, he does have a lot of roaches on the way, but are they going to be here in time? Here comes this Marine Marauder
He's
ball.
got five.
Going
He's
to do
got
a
four
lot of
zerglings. He's
damage.
got two queens down here. He's actually got six now. Six for seven, eight roaches. So he should be okay. You
All
see
positioning here.
RH killing the
And
Manx
it looks
statue.
like he's getting a pretty nice concave there. And here come the queens to support. He was going to take out that siege tank as fast as possible, and that goes down. And these roaches actually should be able to clean this up pretty easily. Actually pulling some drones off the line to help as well. I think that's a little excessive. And,
It's gonna be
he
close
actually
though.
did lose a queen there, so it wasn't all good for him. But at least he fended it off.
And he
And
got a siege tank too, so that's not bad. But once again, behind it, RH has done some stuff. He's gotten his natural really well saturated. He's got cloaking coming up for the ghost, so it looks like maybe we will see the ghost this time do a nuke. He's got refineries coming down, bunkers coming down, way more Marines and Marauders. So there's just a ton of stuff going on in the production tab, and you got like 6 or 7 things going on in the production tab for RH. And while it doesn't necessarily mean he's ahead all the time, there's only 2 things now from Hyper. So he's got
yeah.
getting a lair, getting an extractor, and getting tons
Yeah, I
of
mean,
queen tumors.
he just keeps kind of supply blocking himself, which is always a problem. You never want to supply block yourself. And I mean, he is getting back into the macro somewhat. 43 over 30, not as bad as 19 over 9, but certainly not ahead. And
And boy, RH has
two-base
done a
Zerg
great
versus
job, by
two-base
the way,
Panther is
hiding this.
not a good situation.
He's done a great job hiding this Ghost Academy behind the smoke over here in the top right corner. See, Hyper has brought in an Overlord. It looks like he's sacking it to get sight, but he's not going to see it because it's way out in the middle of nowhere. So he's not going to know that these ghosts are coming, and that's going to be a real problem.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, we see Optical picking up Stim Pack, picking up combat shields while getting this cloaking for his ghost, and we don't see any detection here from Hyper, so
But
this
we
ghost
see
could do a ton of damage.
Four spore crawlers coming up now from him, and I'm not sure if that's the correct reaction to the scouting he's had. If he can get this medevac now, which is on its way, by the way, with a ghost inside, down before it lands, he's going to be in a good position. But I don't know, OpticalRH is going to drop it in the smoke, it looks like. Great play. At the same time, moving in this Marine Marauder ball, putting pressure on. Going to try and take away the attention of Hyper and get that nuke down, that mineral line. And let's
Yep,
take a look
and
what
here
happens.
comes the ghost. But he does see it with a spore crawler, but he lost vision on it because it doesn't. And
There it
there's
is.
the nuke. He's moving the spore crawler with some drones over to be able to see it, and he should be able to take this out. But that's a lot of mining time lost.
And he says, I can detect. At the same time, though, we got a ton of Marines and Marauders down here at this natural, and they are doing work. And looks like Hyper does not have enough stuff down here to deal with it. He's just lost all of his roaches. He's got 3 more in here on the right side. They're going to try and get one of these Marauders down, not going to get it. And it looks like this game is pretty much over, if I might be so bold.
Yeah, I mean, Hyper has no army left. He's gonna lose his natural right now, and probably a lot of drones. And his workers aren't even mining anymore, so there's the GG. Really
And now
nice,
we see a
really
Spire
nice
coming up
games.
at the very end for Hyper. And boy, it would have been nice if we gotten it up early. But RH doing a great job, so he is going to take over our Player of the Week honors.
Yeah, I mean, this is some really nice games there from Optical. Really clinical, just keeping up his macro and multi-pronged attacks. Just really, really nice work there from him. And Hyper, I mean, great play from him. He did his best. And he says, I don't think I want to play Zerg anymore now. And he did say PvT was his worst matchup. I mean, ZVP or ZVT, whatever the fuck. Zerg versus Terran. And, great job by him. And congrats on losing your title, I guess.
So RH taking home the $5 Challenger prize this week. We will be here next week, same time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There was a little bit of confusion with the signups this week. So well played by both players, though. And so next week will be best of 5. RH will be defending his title, going after the $10 defending your title prize. I don't know what to call it. And so if you guys think you can beat him, go ahead and sign up, or we will take the highest sign up as always. And it has been fun for the Contraband Esports Network. This has been Kuze, and that over there is Octopus Rum. Thank you for tuning in.